Hello and welcome back to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl, Wealth Transformation. I'm Dr. Cheryl. Have you been waking up to your unconditional love? Wow, it's already 2013. 2012 was sure a year to delve into transformation all over the planet, from monumental physical disasters to all the financial global crisis, which is the divine's way of waking up people. Wake up to being too judgmental. Wake up to being too critical of yourself and others. Wake up to stop thinking any, and I mean any, negative thoughts, especially about yourself. Wake up to being and sharing your love. We need unconditional love more than ever today. People keep asking me, what's unconditional love? Well, it's being non-judgmental and non-critical and having patience. And this is the beginning. And then listening. Listening is a great act of unconditional love. Everyone on this planet has some sort of healing and transformation happening. Every one of us. Please take responsibility for your emotional, mental, and spiritual healthiness. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have something to work through. Our society is in desperate need of a tremendous shift in consciousness. Wake up! I believe the moral fiber in this country has unraveled to the point that it is forcing a reconstruction and serious healing of our true core and fundamental values. It's not just in our wonderful America, but this is a global issue. It starts with love and then money. Yes, money. Our value system puts entirely too much value on money and material things. It's about wealth in all departments of our lives, not solely in our bank accounts. There is nothing wrong with having a lot of money. It's just the unbalanced values that is put on it. Where is the love and happy relationships as our foundation and not money as a foundation? Please do your part to heal these core issues. Please wake up to your unconditional love and applying these principles to everything. So laugh more, share your unconditional love more. Why do you think our global community is in such crisis? Wake up to your happiness that you so deserve. Wake up to your freedom. And with that being said, how does a computer tell you it needs more memory? It says, bite me. I'm very excited to introduce our guest this evening. We are honored to have Michael Pritchard. This is the first part of a two-part discussion with Michael. Michael Pritchard is a nationally acclaimed keynote speaker, praised by Wall Street Journal, CNN, and Time for his ability to use humor to inspire and educate his audiences on communication skills. Michael Pritchard is a big guy with a warm heart who, as one student described him, truly walks as he talks. He began his career on both the comedy stage and as a juvenile counselor in San Francisco's Youth Guidance Center. In 1980, Michael Pritchard won first place in the San Francisco International Stand-Up Comedy Competition, as well as winning the prestigious California Probation Officer of the Year. Michael's offers from Hollywood rolled in, including a guest appearance on the Emmy award-winning episode of Taxi. His sensational stand-up comedy billed him with Robin Williams, Jerry Seinfeld, Dana Carvey, and Whoopi Goldberg playing venues at Caesars, the Comedy Store, Universal Amphitheater, and openings such as names as Diana Ross, The Grateful Dead, Kenny Rogers, Michael McDonald, and Boss Skaggs. But Michael rejected offers from Hollywood to focus on using his comic talents for inspiring youth and adults. Drawing from his counseling background, Michael Pritchard began using humor to inspire, teach communication skills, anger management, diversity, conflict resolution, and overcoming burnout and stress. For his work in promoting nonviolence with youth, Dr. Michael Pritchard was awarded an honorary doctorate in Humane Letters from Hartwick University and winning 2001 Lewis Hines Award for Service to Children and Youth, Certificate of Appreciation, and the 2002 Marin Community Foundation's Burrell Buck Fund Award for Achievement in Promoting Nonviolence. As a result of his work, Michael Pritchard has been featured on CNN, NBC's Today Show, The Tonight Show, CBS Sunday Morning with Charles Kuralt, Time Magazine, and People Magazine. Oh, I can hardly keep up with all this. It's a lot. Michael has too many awards and honors to mention all of them. However, you can see them on michaelpritchard.com. Michael Pritchard has a presence on the Edutopia site. Edutopia is George Lucas's educational foundation. His videos are featured in the social emotional learning arena. In addition, Michael Pritchard has done countless voice work for Edutopia and the Star Wars series. His 7 educational series for PBS and distribution has been seen by millions and focuses on youth guidance in the areas of violence prevention. The power of choice. You can choose big changes, big choices. Robin Williams in Time Magazine said, if Mother Teresa had had a child with Jesse Ventura, it would be Michael Pritchard. Oh, thank you for being here with us.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm just totally excited to bring you here. You're a local guy.
Hi, Marin.
And you're local, and you're also national and international.
Yes, it's true. It is true, isn't it weird? I've been getting more global calls from places far, far away.
Like where?
Oh, India, and Japan. And
they want you,
Bali.
inviting you.
Well, yeah, because of the Happy movie, because I did the Happy movie.
Yeah.
And I got a call from the Bali Yoga Barn.
Okay, Bollywood, but they have Bollywood, you know.
Yeah,
That's
Bollywood.
like, dance your,
Dancing.
off.
Yeah, perfect.
So
it would take a lot of dancing for me. Because behind every big man, there is a big behind. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes.
Ask me a question.
Yes. Well, I knew this is going to be very entertaining, and because my subject is pretty serious, but
I'm not.
You've got to have the humor behind it.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
That's right. In order to have a great deal of health and a great deal of wealth, you have to have, the idea that I is illness, we is wellness.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. That's why George Burns lived to be almost 100.
Yes.
He laughed every single day.
Exactly right. He said, I can't die, I'm booked. I always loved him.
Yeah, he's great. Was great. He is still great. He's still with us, Please tell the viewers what you're doing right now, because you have such a plethora of...
Yes, there are so many things. I just finished a wonderful cyberbullying show for children with puppets. It's kind of a Sesame Street-ish thing. And then I went on to do a really wonderful special for women with cancer. And we went all across. We performed at Gilda Radner Centers all over.
Oh, yeah.
Gilda passed away from... cancer years ago, but she established
Didn't she
a great
have
trust.
breast cancer?
No, actually, cervical cancer.
Wow.
And
Okay.
God love her. She was an amazing spirit, and funny and sweet and kind and knowledgeable and wizened. And her books, and she wrote a book about her journey through the hard parts of the pain. And so we thought we could inspire other people, men and women, and their caretakers. So we went all over America filming. We filmed in many different locations and spent time sitting with the people, talking with the people. And then that took me into hospice work, where you learn a great deal about wealth management.
Oh, yeah.
You learn incredible things. Like, I think we were talking the other day. I said, if you want to see real crime, don't go to criminal court, go to probate. Because you watch people stealing money.
The worst comes out, actually.
Right. Yes.
It does. I've seen it in my own family.
Yes.
And I say, I'm going the opposite direction.
Gotta go, yeah. Because they just don't seem to get what it's all about here on planet Earth. And so that's why when I did this other stuff, it took me to those great moments. And the 5, this is about the stuff we talk about with wealth. The 5 regrets of dying people. Number 1, they wish they'd have been more authentic and worried less about what people thought of them.
I've heard that before.
And that means to just be yourself. Learn to say to yourself, what you think of me is none of my business.
Well, and you know what? The majority of people are they express themselves because it's expected from the way they've been raised and what the society tells them, which is,
that's not authentic, is it?
no.
E. Cummings, the poet, said, "To be yourself in a whole world full of people trying desperately to make you be exactly like them is to fight the greatest battle that ever was or ever will be." So just teaching people who have wealth or are looking for wealth or seeking wealth that to be genuine is to gather that comes from the term genius, which is true self, which is originally from the Greek term and the Persian term geni, which means angelic. And
The divine source.
exactly. So trying to find those ways to be real, genuine and real. The second thing with that is to try and get your feelings out more. Say more how you're thinking and feeling. And I see that with some of the wealthier folks here in our community. They have a hard time expressing their wealth. There's a movie.
Now, are you talking? You're talking about their personal wealth, their expression of themselves, or their actual money self?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both. There was a young man named Jamie Johnson who filmed a movie for HBO called Rich Kids, and he interviewed only billionaire children, and it was astoundingly stilted, sad. He confronted on the film his father, who owned Johnson & Johnson, was the heir to the Johnson & Johnson firm, so billionaires. And he was having a hard time saying, "Dad, your relationship to money is so different than mine." So learning what you get your feelings out, and teaching your kids to get their feelings out about money and wealth, and not put it as the be-all, end-all for your having things. In other words, what they talk about in the Happy movie is extrinsic values. People aren't very happy. People that think objects will buy them. They call it, check this out, I love this line, the hedonic treadmill.
Oh yeah. The hedonistic.
Hedonistic,
yeah.
But the more you have, the more you buy, the less happy you are.
Yes.
And it's like a circle.
Well, unless you have that spiritual
Yes.
foundation.
Right.
When you have that,
Right.
you have everything.
Right, exactly. Having the spiritual foundation prevents that hedonistic treadmill. That's the intrinsic value: compassion, love, sharing, forgiving, allowing, surrendering, all those things that are intrinsic values. And this is what we find. The third thing is about working less. Also, not giving yourself to a system
Yes.
that does not appreciate your sweat equity nor your spirit. There's a wonderful, I tell people this all the time. Hyman Rickover, who was the modern father of the nuclear navy, said, "If you're going to sin against God, not the bureaucracy, at least God will forgive you."
Wow.
Such a powerful line. Because we will work for systems. This is what happened in Japan. This is where the term in the movie came from, koroshi, the act of exhausting oneself to death for a system.
I just saw a little special on Japan as of today, and the Japanese, they're dying younger and younger, heart attacks, because they're pushing themselves so bloody hard.
This is the Happy movie.
They're not,
This is what's in the Happy movie. And the fourth thing, and this is very powerful as well, is wish they would have spent more time with family and friends. That's why I'm very glad to be with you, my darling.
Oh,
you are a
very
goddess.
much.
So, boy, it's fun. I mean, you have to spend time with people enjoying life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the wealth of life, really,
Right.
when it comes right down to it. I could be penniless, and if I had true wealth in my friendships and my family, that's the core.
Right. So here's the
That's the
line.
root.
This is by Charles Dickens. And he said this in a book called Nicholas Nickleby. "We come to know that at the end of all time that it is not always those that we share our blood with that become our family, but those that we might give our blood for." Yeah. What's the best ship to sail on? Friendship.
Yeah.
Relationship, partnerships,
yes.
those collaborations.
Right at this time in our era of living is totally transformational on this level.
Right.
This is what I talk about on my show,
Right.
is all of these, horrendous crises that are happening are forcing people to look at it.
Right.
And those that have been working at it are just saying, I'm saying yay, because people need to wake up. That's why I call my show Wake Up.
Right.
And so it's all part of being able to share this information and
information.
help people. That's
Right.
what I want to do. Is I want to help the
Spiritual
audience.
wellness.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Vignal, I always love this, the great French writer said, in order to make your dreams come true, the most important thing you do is wake up.
Be grateful to be alive.
That's
Hello.
it. Wake
I mean,
up.
that's so simple.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. It's so
Yeah.
simple, but people make it so complicated.
Right. And why do you think they do that? Because I see the wealth and abundance in the world. And I am friends with some of the wealthiest women and men in the world, and have been for quite some time. And I notice that the reason they're around me is because of the last thing that we talk about that people need, and that is seeking just simple happiness, just learning how to be happy. And happiness comes,
It comes from inside.
Right, yeah.
But when you don't nurture and you don't
Right.
heal the pain inside,
Right.
then you can't be happy.
Right.
One thing that I say,
Right.
and I've said this many times, is once you go through the transformation of healing yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, you have to go through the pain, but once you're past that, you're free.
Right.
And when you feel free,
Right.
you're automatically
Yes.
happy.
Yeah. You're allowing it,
Yes.
you're surrendering it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there is no control.
yeah.
You want to know how to make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Oh goodness! I wanted to ask you how were you were raised in Marin?
No, I was raised back in the Midwest.
Okay,
in,
where?
In St. Louis.
Oh, you're
And
a
I
St.
grew up-
Louis
yeah.
boy. Show me.
I was just back there. In St. Louis, doing a benefit for Backstabbers for Fire and Cop. We raised a lot of money. Had a lot of old friends come down, and we
Backstabbers.
did a show that's the widows and orphans of firefighters and cops,
Oh, okay.
to help
Yeah.
them backstop, to get scholarships
Yeah.
and money to just get through sometimes hard times. And this was the Christmas season, and it was really good to raise that kind of money for the families that needed it a lot. And that's a thing that I talk about when I talk to kids. And I said, that night I said, there were, on 9/11, Doc, there was millionaires and billionaires at the top of the World Trade Center waiting to be rescued by working class heroes. Going up the steps, people that understood the words of Sir Winston Churchill, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give to others.
Yeah.
And I said, coming down the steps with some of the wealthiest people in the world. Now, when they met, their eyes would meet, going up to save their lives. And they saved somewhere around 20,000 of these folks, getting them out of the buildings on time. But now we come to a time when the lungs are filled with dust from the rescues, and everybody kind of pushes that away who lived and survived. It's like, no, but we can't pay for everybody who's, and you're like, are you kidding? They saved your lives. Think with your heart, not with your brain. Think not with your wallet, but with your emotional sanctity and sacredness of your heart. And that's where we have to get people to start to recommend. I tell people, it's a funny line. No matter how rich and powerful you are, how important you get to be, on the day you die, the size of your funeral still pretty much depends on the weather that day. Like, where do they think they're going?
I know.
At the end of the chess game, the pawn and the king go back in the same box.
Yeah. So how were you taught around money?
That's very interesting. I grew up in a working class mom and dad. They were wonderful people. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was an Army officer, and then an industrial pump salesman. And we had joy throughout our lives. We did
Do you
not.
have siblings?
Yeah, I had 4 brothers,
Oh, wow.
and then we had the most amazing life, filled with laughter. Our table was always a place where we had laughter, and we shared. And growing up as a kid in the 50s, I told them the story. It was actually pretty funny. My mom and dad, there was a kid in the neighborhood that wasn't well fed, and he would sit on the front porch of our house every night at the dinner hour. And one night, my dad, who was an Army officer, he goes, "You want to tell me why that kid's on my front porch every night at the dinner hour? Does that kid not have a dinner hour?" Mm-hmm. And I walked out and I said, "Jim, my dad wants to know why you're out here every night at the dinner hour." And he goes, "I don't have anybody to whistle me home. Your dad whistles you all home, but I don't have him." I go, "Oh." So I walked back in and I watched my father, great face of Moses, crack. He goes, and this is how World War II guys always cry. He goes, because because he was from a family of 13,
Oh
mom
my
from a family of 9.
Wow.
They understood. He goes, tell him to come inside and sit at the table with the rest of you. Well, a week later, we had his 2 brothers. And we fed them all summer long. I don't remember being poor.
Yeah.
I remember growing up in a spiritual
You
family.
had too much happiness to
Yeah.
even if you
Right.
didn't have a lot, you wouldn't even have noticed
Wouldn't
it.
have noticed. I didn't know we were poor.
Where are you in the lineup?
I was the baby.
Yeah, I
you
thought
know,
so,
they
because you're
always
very
save-
loving.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
they save the best for last.
Yes, that's right. I'm one of those too.
But it's, you know, and I think when I was a kid growing up, I learned from my family about the relationship to money. Money, not important. Relationships, friendships, love, family, compassion, helping, serving in the community, sacrificing in the community, risking. When my son went off to a nice private school, I told him, I said, son, you're going to come across some men down there that would look down their nose at myself and all the firemen and cops that have lived with us and all the nurses and teachers that have been our family friends. But if their Porsche Target catches on fire, we're on our way to save their lives. And I don't know that they would appreciate the fact that we might lose our life or give our life to save theirs, but I want them to teach their kids to appreciate how we've chosen to live our lives. And that hasn't been happening lately. And so there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yes.
heartfelt disconnect. And
I
so
know.
that wealth and abundance where just your public servant is your servant first and public
No.
later.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
healthy
It's
for our nation.
It's way out of balance, and
Right.
it isn't just in our country,
Right.
not in the good old
Right.
USA. It's all over the planet. I mean, look what just happened in India.
Right.
You know, it's time for everybody to wake up and shift their consciousness.
Right. I agree with you.
And it's a spiritual awareness. It isn't about money. It's fine to have money as long as your priorities are right. And your heart, you're coming from your heart.
Yeah, balance.
I mean, look, you know, I've done studies on this, and there's more to me, this is astounding. There's more than enough money circulating on this planet for every one of us, the babies in Africa and India, to have $8 to $10 million apiece. That's how much money's circulating. But it's so out of balance.
Well, here's why, and I can tell you, it's pain. Now, here's what's interesting. Because I love Dickens so much, he was describing Scrooge. He goes, he was a clutching, grasping, squeezing skinflint, but he was as solitary as an oyster in his pain. Mm-hmm. And I see these wealthy millionaires, not billionaires, but millionaires.
Well, I know a billionaire that is spiritually bankrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, I even said that to him.
Yeah.
And you know, he hasn't gotten it yet,
Right.
but I pray someday he will get it because he has
I said that to a billionaire one time too. He goes, well, you're not getting my money. And I said, I don't need your money. You need my prayers.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
I know.
yes. So what do spiritual principles really mean to you?
I think basically the number one, I've lived my whole life in compassion. I was a medic in service taking care of wounded. I learned that pain shared is pain divided.
You were in the service then?
Yeah, a long time ago in a
okay.
galaxy far away. So
Which
pain
branch?
shared in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
Long time ago in a galaxy far away. Okay, and I think that I learned that pain shared is pain divided, but compassion shared is compassion multiplied.
Yes.
Where you learn the first acts of compassion from the pain in people's eyes that have lived through the sadness of war. They've been injured. It's 44 years later. I was with young men today at Pathways Home up in Yountville, working with them on the exact same issue, helping people find the way to heal isn't physical. It's spiritual,
right,
and
emotional.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely,
So
and
we're
mental
on the same-
too. It's all those three things. The trying, you know,
Right.
it's all integrated on
Right.
how we can be whole.
Right. And that's the holistic approach. And that's what I tell them. To become whole, you have to approach your wellness from whole. And you see it in what I always say, the spiritual principle that most applies to me is kindness because of compassion. The Dalai Lama's line is, when possible, be kind to everyone, and it is always possible. And what compassion, the fruit of compassion, the stepsister of compassion, is joyful service, laughter.
Well, and you know what? We do not know. Just like I don't
Right.
know what you've been through.
Right.
How can I judge you? Because I don't know what you've been through, just like you don't know what I've been through.
Mother Teresa said, if you judge people, you'll never have time to learn to love them.
That's right. And the key is loving yourself
Right.
first. That's why I
Self-compassion.
constantly talk about unconditional love.
Right.
Constantly. I mean, that's what it's all about, is unconditional.
What have you learned most about money, though? I mean, you've been in banking, you've been in finance, you've been up and down, you have your doctorate in finance. What do you see the relationship? Because I'm fascinated by when I have these conversations in Marin County, and I love my home community. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we have a very wealthy, and I think it's like 5th in the world.
You want my best comedy line that gets the most
Please.
laughter? The best line is, Marin County is simultaneously the most conscious and unconscious place on the planet.
Oh, wow. I know. It's the dichotomy.
True. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that attracts me here is the spiritual
Right.
part of it.
You can feel it.
However, I admit I was raised in Bellevue, Washington,
Right.
which is the same class
Right,
as
yes.
Marin County.
Sure it is.
So I have this affinitive to it, but it's astounding to see the dichotomy that is
The
going
distance,
on.
yeah.
And however, it's not just here, it's all over. Our tip for today is change your thinking about money. It is an energy, it is a vehicle to exchange goods and services, but the love of money is the primary force that creates evil acts. Get your priorities in order, change your thinking and feelings with love. Practice unconditional love with yourself first and then everyone in your life. Your family comes first, not money. Get balance. I'll leave you with this. Remember, happiness doesn't depend on who you are or what you have. It depends solely on what you think. By Dale Carnegie.